Tarn and the Parak Neskar shot at the same time, and Tarn would never be sure which of them had been lucky. His aim was better. His shot took the Neskard in the head, and they went down. But the Neskard had a new weapon of some sort. It went through Tarn's battle armour like it wasn't there, and cut him nearly in half. He barely had time to trigger his launcher and fire a void grenade into the nest, before collapsing on the street outside. Tarn lay dying, feeling the blood pumping out of his body, and reflected that it had been a glorious war. Thousands of enemy nests destroyed, hundreds of thousands of their young slain, and only a few hundred of his people's nests wrecked by the enemy. The new weapons had worked fabulously, better than anything his mother had ever been able to fight with. Now he would die in honour, his duty done, and the enemy was in disarray. Then, looking up, he saw the end of everything. A human dropship surged into view, massive, bulky, angular, and as ugly as everything else they made. Nothing like the elegant curves and smooth lines of his people's vehicles and weapons. It was brilliant white, a human glyph he recognised all too well emblazoned on the bottom in brilliant red, the colour of human blood. Tarn remembered with a chill. It hovered silently, 4 oversized grav generators working in sync. An expensive way to make them quiet. Almost every other species used only one in a vehicle, and accept the thrumming hum of a single grav generator as the price of efficiency. But not the humans. Their productive capacity was legendary. How they were so wealthy was a topic of frequent debate amongst his people. Tarn never understood it. They kept no slaves, they didn't loot their enemies, yet somehow they were both the richest and most productive people in the galaxy. The casual display of wealth and the design of the dropship was as human as the ugliness of what that enormous wealth had wrought. Some propaganda said they were cowardly, that they squandered the resources it would take to build 4 proper dropships on a single one because they feared to lose their lives if a generator failed. Tarn had always been doubtful of that. The humans were despicable. But he knew his history, and he knew of the empires that had attacked the humans, that they had all been defeated, and were now absorbed into the humans' cursed Federation. Whatever else they were, humans weren't carrots. Now, like carrion eaters, they were here to pick the bones of his people. There had been rumours of human ships in orbit, waiting until Tarn's people, the Parrot, and their enemies, the Parak, had weakened themselves enough to make their world an easy conquest. And the thought chilled him that even a Parak would sink so low, that they had invited the humans. Rumour was that humans followed strange laws and would only intervene in a war if one side asked them to. Doors opened in the bottom of the gleaming dropship, and humans jumped out on lines. They fell at suicidal speeds and slowed with tremendous acceleration just a few meters above the ground. The armour of most, like the vehicle, was white, and marked with the same red rune. A handful had their armour set to mottled grey, and if they wore insignia, it was too small for Tarn to see at this distance. Like their technology, it was understandable that humans were ugly. They were squat creatures with far too few limbs, but, like their technology, it was also undeniable that the human shape worked well. They landed softly, and moved surprisingly quickly given how short their legs were. Most moved into the nest, and Tarn smiled knowing they'd find little to please them there. A void grenade didn't leave anything behind. 2 moved towards him, one in white, one in grey. Tarn tried to raise his gun, but blood loss had weakened him, and his armour was ruined, and could offer no strength assistance. What he had intended as a defiant act to shoot them both resulted in nothing but a feeble twitch. Their helmets were open, so arrogant they obviously felt no danger from anyone here. They spoke briefly, but Tarn's computer had been destroyed by the Parak Neskar's shot, so he had no translator. He thought their language was as blunt and ugly as everything else about them. The one in grey held a gun of some sort, and watched the streets closely. The one in white knelt by Tarn's side. He'd always doubted the reports of human activity. Not that he felt so many would lie, but that it seemed unbelievable that any species could be so vile. But it was true. The figure in white touched an instrument to him, and his pain ended, as if it had been shut off. His limbs may have been stubby and too few, but his armour compensated. Dozens of specialised tools grew from the armoured hands and went to work. A tube was pressed into the largest vein in his primary left leg and fluids, clearly some blood analogue, flowed in. Quickly, painlessly, and efficiently, the human began putting him back together. He used gruesome-looking tools, and soon his white armour was stained deep purple with Tarn's blood. Whatever else you could say, the medical technology was amazing. He felt better even as it operated on him. Physically better anyway. His despair only got worse knowing what was in store for him and his people. He tried again to raise his gun, but this time found that his limbs would not move at all. Tarn realised that whatever had numbed his pain must be paralysing him. "Filthy degenerates!" he spat at them. The one in white blinked, but didn't cease his work. It said something to its companion, and an instant later, speakers in the armour translated it into proper language that Tarn could understand. "It always surprises me that they're not grateful when we save their lives. You'd think I'd be used to it by now, wouldn't you?" "You kept me from my honourable death. You stopped the war," Tarn cried. "You think I should be grateful? I would have brought glory to my clan for a generation with my heroic death, but now? They were right. You have no honour, no sense of propriety, no righteousness." "I thought better of the Parik. They were enemies, yes. I thought they at least understood honour." The one in grey armour bared his teeth and made an odd barking noise. Tarn finished with the threat display. "You think it was just the Parik? Be easy on him, Finn. He's had a traumatic day." "Sure he has, killing all those babies. Don't worry, Lyle. You know I don't hurt POWs. Even POWs who should be on trial for war crimes. But I do tell the truth, even if it hurts." The one called Finn looked straight at Tarn, and his words came like knives. "The Parrot and Parik both called us for help. Do you know how many nests you Parrot have left? 16. And the Parik are much better off. They've only got 20. Your species is on the verge of extinction." "Lies! We were crushing them. Soon their lands and wealth would have been ours. Their lives sacrificed, snuffed out for our gods. Their soldiers our slaves. I know we destroyed thousands of their nests, and managed to kill only a handful of our own." The human in white was nearly finished. Tarn couldn't move, and he knew he'd still be a long time recovering, but he would not die this day. And with humans around, he would probably never have a chance to die with honour. Neither would his children, grandchildren, nor any other Parrot ever again. "There's a human word. Propaganda. My computer says there isn't a direct translation in your language. Lies to keep up morale. That's what all the reports you saw were. Just propaganda." Finn bared his teeth and made that barking noise again. "And you were dumb enough to believe it." The human in white stood, the surgical tools retracting back into his armour. "That's enough, Finn. What's your name, soldier?" "Tarn." The battle rush had faded, and now Tarn felt truly defeated. The shame of what the humans had done to him burned so deeply and so hot. He felt he might never feel clean or honourable again. He felt listless. What possible purpose could living serve now that his honour was gone? "I'm Jeromy Lyle with the Red Cross. The one in grey is Dwarf Finn, Terran Federation Marines. We'll have to take you to a POW camp for a bit, until the diplomats can sort out a peace treaty." "It shouldn't take too long," Finn added, glaring at the ruined nest. "Without food aid, you'll all starve in a few weeks. But look at the bright side. You'll live long enough to see your entire civilization replaced by one that isn't so suicidally stupid and genocidal. We abolished the death penalty centuries ago, so you'll get to live to see your grandchildren grow up like decent people. People who will look at what you did here and be horrified." "Finn, that's enough. Get the stretcher and stop needling him." Tarn noticed, for the first time, the silence. No explosions, no crackle of small arms, no rumble of missiles flying overhead. The war was over, and Tarn felt bitter tears. Another world added to the Federation, and his species doomed to live, to prosper, but without glory, without honour. His eyes closed and he let despair overwhelm him as he fell into sleep. Humans ruined everything.